we're here at NAMM 2019 with Bubba from STG Sound Labs. Now, anyone who knows anything about modular synthesizers knows about Suit and Tie Guy, and this is, I guess, his and your line of modular synthesizer modules. I've never seen them before. Could you take us through them?
Oh, I would love to. So, Suit and Tie Guy is my oldest friend, and I've been working with him for a while now in different capacities. And this year at the NAMM 2019 show, it is my great pleasure and honor beyond words to show you our first complete synthesizer of STG Sound Labs modules.
Wow.
Yeah, we so up to this point, Suit's been making modules for 14 years, and throughout that time, he's made sequencers. His sequencer line is the product of the greatest living philosopher of the sequencer saying, I want the correct sequencer, and designing it and building it. So in this case, we don't have any of our divider modules, but we have our sequential switch, graphic sequencer, 2 of them, and our trigger sequencer. And so all of these modules, they're broken out into very simple functions, and everything that's on the panel is what it does. And it's very simple, it's very easy to use, it's very immediate.
No menu diving, none of that.
None of that nonsense in my home, okay?
Right, I get it. One function per switch, and that's all there is.
Goddamn right. And so one thing that is a little bit sort of like behind the scenes in all of this, you'll notice on all of them, there's nothing plugged into our shift inputs for our sequencers, and yet they are running. And that is because Suit and Tie Guy is also really, really into DIN sync, and all of these cases, all 4 of these cases are synchronized through DIN sync to this drum machine. And so when we hit play on the drum machine, everything starts running.
Wow.
And this sync bus will also work with our envelope generator, and yeah, so eventually we will have a module called the unidentified frequency operator, and that will be tempo syncable. But I'll tell you more about what that is when we start talking about the VCO.
Great.
So what's happening in this patch that I've got going, this is sort of my like floor demo patch for the morning. I've got one of the graphic sequencers is feeding the control input on the switch. Now again, we notice there's nothing plugged into our switch inputs. But it's still going, and it's still making some goofy-ass bug music.
And who doesn't love goofy-ass bug music, after all?
Right. It's this bug music is the folk music of our people.
It is. I'm going to have to put that right on my website. Bug music is the folk music of our people. I love it.
So, anyways, but the cool thing about this particular bug music is that it is actually rhythmic, and it is actually like tied to some rhythm.
Cool.
And some real rhythm that's not like, jerky, it's like subdivided. So each of these 4 signal inputs is actually, when there's nothing plugged in and you've got the DIN sync bus connected, it actually takes a 32nd note, a 16th note, a dotted 16th note, and an 8th note, and it runs them directly into those. So this sequencer is actually addressing randomly which of these is connected to our select output, and because it's the select output, because we're running the sequencer, you can run it down to 0 and get nothing coming through.
Got it.
So, we're getting this kind of like goofy little patch, and this is just. So all you're hearing right now is we got our envelope generator triggered by that sound, that trigger stream.
Switch, yep.
And the envelope is being triggered by that. Just like there's no rest built into this. It's all just straight trigger streams. And then that envelope is controlling our Sea Devils filter, our EMS Synthy style filter.
Nice.
Which you can hear sounds lovely.
There is some resonance for you.
Yeah. So actually, we're CVing our resonance with a signal from a .com. So our .com is a comparator and sub-octave generator clock modulation module. The great thing about Suit and Tie Guy gear is that, like, without being a dual universal slope generator or something that's like very, very complicated and sort of esoteric, Suit is really good at designing modules that take something very, very useful and present it in a very, very clean and easy to use way. You know, the most complicated module that you will ever find in a Suit and Tie Guy system, or with his name on it, is the envelope generator. And the reason for that is that the envelope generator has multiple different models that it can run. It's got different modes of running. It's got different time multiplications, and you can sync it. CV over all stages and our level. CV over the degree of linearity and exponentiality of your curve. Gate outs for each of them. And we have two, and so at all times, this envelope generator is outputting 2 different envelopes.
Oh my goodness.
That use the same settings. They're not the same envelope, they're variations. And they're not necessarily like, it's not necessarily like variations designed with a particular style of patching of using both in mind. It's just, you have envelope A and you have envelope B, and you can use both of them together, but you can also use one individually, and you can get different behaviors out of each output without having, again, a gazillion knobs and buttons.
Oh my goodness, what an interesting design. I'm going to have to spend some quality time with that.
Oh,
that's
dude,
beautiful.
please do. It's wonderful. And what I always tell people, you know, I've been playing with this thing a lot in the studio for the last couple of weeks. And we've had people over, and every time when they're like, oh my God, I'm so confused about the envelope, I just say, look, listen, just set it up, get something going, you know, put it in free running mode on any of the time multiplications, plug each envelope into something, and then just sit there and play it. And see
what you get.
It is absurdly playable. You know, what I like to do is I'll get something going, you know, whatever it is, and if that is making an interesting sound with however I've got it patched in, I'll just sit there and I'll be like, okay, this is cool. And then I'll just play the knobs and I'll play the sliders in ways that are really difficult on a lot of other envelopes that I've found. You know, it's so difficult without sliders to do stuff like this. And when you're running it in sync mode, these sliders don't control a time; they control a subdivision of the clock.
Oh, interesting.
So you know, instead of your attack or whatever this function is, instead of that being 30 milliseconds, now it's like some number of DIN sync pulses.
Wow.
So you can get really in depth with it.
A very deep module. A lot of density within the space that the thing is, right? I mean, it just looks like there's so much you can do with it.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
And it's fun. You know, it's very natural. It's very natural to use it and to grow with it. But all of that stuff has been out. There's a lot of other things that have been out for a while in these cases. But the really, really exciting stuff this year, we'll start with the heart of it all. So this, if I could hold it upright.
There we go.
This is a stock Moog Mother 32 boat. But inside of it, we have the new STG Sound Labs boat rocker, power supply, and DIN sync bus interface.
Nice.
We get 1 amp of power on the positive 12 volt rail, half an amp of power on the negative 12 volt rail, and 5 volts on all of it. And our power is regulated 3 times, once on the input and then once for each rail. If it was cost effective, we'd put a regulator on every single one of these headers, okay? We want that power to be clean.
So it still uses a switching power supply on the outside, like a Meanwell or something like that?
Yeah, it uses a wall wart. We've got, you know, we've got power supplies, they're not wall warts, they're floor warts. And this power supply, like I said, it also provides DIN sync connectivity, which happens through the audio in jack, or what was the audio in jack is now DIN sync input.
Got it. Very cool.
So that is underneath these little cases right here, which are also essentially stock Moog Mother 32 boats. And these systems in here, these are 2 variations on the configuration that we're considering for the Radiophonic 1. And the Radiophonic 1 is our first complete synthesizer that we're offering at Suit and Tie Guy Sound Labs. And it's gonna have, there's 1 point of variation, and I really genuinely want to hear your audience's input on what they would prefer. I know what I would prefer, and I'm going to tell you because I don't care about showing off my bias.
Give your bias, and then I'll tell you what I would like, and then we can let people add in the comment section what they
comment
like.
section, come at me. Come at me, comment section. Give me some feedback. I'm literally asking for it once.
You have thrown down that gauntlet.
Anyways, so they're all going to have a .bam, buffered attenuated multiple.
Yep, of course.
They're all going to have our VCO, which is so rad. We've got a digital tuning system and a digital modulation generator, digital random generator for providing some drift. So
interesting.
Our tuning system works like this. You got your range, and all the way to the left, it's in LFO mode, so it runs at below subsonic frequencies.
Sure.
And then as you twist this potentiometer, it steps through octaves, and then at the top, it's wide range. So when it's wide range, this detune knob controls the whole range, just like you would expect for the biggest knob on an oscillator.
Right.
But in the octave modes, you actually get about a step in each direction.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, very good for fine tuning.
Really nice.
And then we also have a semitone detune, which allows you to step through and get chords or intervals very easily. And what's even better about that is the fifth is twice as wide as the rest. So, you know, you're however far along this partial circle it takes to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. When you get to 7, it's twice as long, twice as wide, so you can just dial into it immediately.
Oh, really cool. That's really very musical. That's a great idea.
You know, at Suit and Tie Guy Sound Labs, we are musicians who go to work. We put our pants on in the morning and we build synthesizers and we go to work making music and being involved with this stuff and being engaged with the conscious design of interface so that these things can be used to effectively and used at all. So anyways, rant aside.
I love your passion, Bubba. I really do. I feel the same way.
So the drift generator, this is a really cool new thing. This is our unidentified frequency object, or the .UFO for short. And what this does is it provides an offset, but it doesn't just jump there.
Yeah.
At the end of each cycle, it decides on a distance to go and a length of time that it takes to get there. And when it does that, it decides that, and then it goes there, and it takes its sweet ass time if it needs to. At the bottom end, it's over 20 seconds, probably about 30 seconds. And then, you know, if you've got it here and it goes through and it decides it's gonna go through a cycle, and it goes, and it might be really slow. I'd show it to you, but our neighbors are giving us Eurotrance rave.
It's really awesome. I can't tell you how impressed I am with that music.
Dude, I'm really loving it. And the visuals, I'm a visual guy, and the visuals, oh my god.
Oh wow.
They are just making me wet.
I cannot believe that I didn't take mushrooms before coming here today. That would
Dude, I get it.
We just have to give a little piece of that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Welcome to NAMM. Anyway.
These guys have a platform and I have to beg to play video art at shows. I'm a grumpy old man at 24. Anyways.
Just wait.
Yeah. So anyways, back to the drift generator.
Yeah.
If you turn it all the way up and you get it to a really fast rate, it's going to follow to the end of the cycle that it was already on. Yeah. It's not just going to immediately start going all wild and shit. And so that's a very musical way of doing drift and of providing a random voltage applied to your oscillator pitches. You know, the night we got these prototypes, we set them up for 3.5 hours and just let them drone and let them move in and out of each other. And you know, there's things that this provides to you that have always kind of been there. You've always been capable of slewing a random voltage or doing whatever to get this sort of effect. You've always been able to do this. But this is so musical. We use a lookup table and we put in a very, very specific set of values, and we set up so that it would follow something that would feel right. And so just listening to this drone on and on and on for hours is very easy. It's not fatiguing at all.
That's really nice.
And for FM, like my booth patch today has actually been mostly using FM. Because we all know how much our Eurorack friends love their FM.
They do indeed.
And you know what? I love it too.
In fact, I want a bumper sticker that says, does it have an FM input?
Yeah, for real. And this oscillator does have an FM input, but if you want to use the modulation attenuator to do FM, you've got to override the drift generator.
Got it.
That said, if you want exponential FM, the real ugly granola, you can just go into the control input, or go into a mixer and go into the control input with your 1 volt per octave.
Do it that way, yeah.
So that's that. That's kind of the long and short of it. We show you sound, but like we said, we're in the middle of a rave. So in this system, we have our existing module, the .com, like I was already talking about.
Yep.
The Dot Mix, which is the Moog CP3 mixer, which is the finest sounding colored mixer in all of synthesis and all of music.
Yeah.
The asymmetrical clipping on that provides such beautiful, warm tonal colors.
That's wonderful.
And you know, you can do things with it with CV modulation. I mean, it's the business. You got the Sea Devils filter, our EMS filter.
Right.
And the envelope generator, like we've been talking about, which is based on the envelope generator from the Synthi 100, and gives you some extra modes and other features, like we've already talked about, and a dual VCA.
Sure.
Now, our other configuration that we're considering is
configuration number 2. Here we go.
Right, and I'll be honest with y'all, I think this is the one, okay? Because, like, I'll get to it. So, same thing. We've got one thing we didn't talk about on the oscillators. We have sawtooth and triangle outputs, and a sub-octave. This module is a new prototype called the SLC, and if you want to get a little bit better look of it, we got our other prototype.
We'll take a look at one right up here.
So with this module, you get wave slicing. This is a new kind of wave shaping.
Really?
Yeah, this is something that has always been possible, but took a lot of gear and a lot of patching to do correctly and to get right. And so with wave splice, with the slicer, what you get is you feed us 2 waveforms into A and B, and you have a window input. And if you've got 3 waveforms from an oscillator, as we do on the Radiophonic one with our .VCO, you can feed a square wave in, and then you can feed your triangle and your sawtooth. And so on ours, we've got a sub-octave square wave, triangle, and saw. If you feed the sub-octave square wave into the window input, and then your triangle and your saw into the A and B, you can get, if you set the slice point in the center, you get 2 cycles of triangle followed by 2 cycles of saw in your output. Okay. So you can just splice the waves together, and you can move that. You can CV that splice point, so you get 1 cycle of triangle followed by 2 cycles of sawtooth. And then if you want to get really esoteric with it, you can plug in 3 different oscillators that are tuned to 3 different pitches, and now your window is being controlled by 1 oscillator. You got A is 1 pitch, B is another pitch, and now they're kind of wobbling together, and waveforms of different frequencies are colliding.
Would it be possible to run other audio material in? Could you run samples in or something? Would it work?
I don't see why not.
Interesting. That's fascinating.
Dude, audio is audio, voltage is voltage.
So it would be some other bizarre way to be able to chop up sound.
Oh yeah, you can do amazing things with it.
Well, that's really cool.
For example, you know, even with like the big monolithic waveforms, the triangles, the saws, and that, like, you can turn that into anything. You can feed that into a weird filter. You can distort it. There's a lot of options to work with there, but there's really, like, if you've got a sine wave, or you've got multiple sine waves, as you might have with our Mankato filter, self-oscillating. The Mankato filter, you get 8 phase shifted sine waves when it's self-oscillating.
Let's take a look at that. I'm sorry, that's this one right here.
Yep, this guy right here. So, for example, one of the things that we were doing with the SLC that sounded just unbelievable was we ran 0 degrees into the window, and then 45 and 135 into A and B. And what that gave us was so these are phase shifted, right?
Right.
And what it gave us was this weird chopped up waveform that was very pleasant. But it was,
Wow.
it had so many harmonics and it had so much richness and so much character. You know, like I said, this is a new way of doing things.
It's like the filter version of a quadrature oscillator.
It is.
Right?
So it's
Fascinating.
So this is based on a DIY project design. And what it does, you know, it's a filter that has just these different responses on its output, and when you turn it up to resonance, a filter produces sine waves, and each of these, it works out that 6, 12, 18, 24 decibels inverted, 6 decibels inverted, inverted 12, inverted 18, inverted 24 produces 8 sine waves that are phase shifted by 0, 45, 90, 135, 180,
Wow.
225, 270, 215
Boy, that
degrees.
sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's really, I can hardly wait to get my hands on this and spend some quality time with it as well. You guys make some really interesting, you put new spins on, you know, very standardized modules, and that's fascinating.
Thank you.
So,
That's what we
Bubba,
try to
here's
do.
the question then. So your choice was between this unit that had the
SLC.
that had the SLC and this version that had the .com.
Right.
I think I know which one I want.
Which one do you want?
I'm right here with you, pal.
Oh, yeah.
Hook me up with the SLC. That sounds wonderful.
and that's the thing. So I got into Eurorack because I wanted to have access to things that, as like somebody, I have been into synthesizers since the only cool thing in Keyboard Magazine was the Schwayman S1 back in 2004. Okay, like stuff was different then, kids. And you know what? Like I got into Eurorack because I was like, oh my god. There's so much cool stuff. There's so much.
There is so much cool stuff. It is ridiculous.
And I just want to be able to use it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I got into modular and then I started producing tracks. It was the other way around for me. Everybody buys a modular and then they stop producing. I bought a modular and I was like, oh my god, my brain is finally freed of all the bullshit. And so what I like about synthesizers is the ability to explore new things. And you know what? In 4HP, like in a 4HP module, in a system this small, you want to get as much as you can. And it's such a unique thing, you know, even with this set of modules, you can get into doing stuff like, you know, controlling your window with a crazy fast self-cycling envelope generator. Or you can run that into your waveform inputs, and now you've got whatever crazy shit you come up with on this, combined with a triangle wave from this, and then you can FM it with your C-Devils filter. I mean, the possibilities are endless to begin with. And then you multiply it by some absurd amount just with that module alone.
Well, I can hardly wait to spend some more time actually playing with these things. Bubba, do you have anything else to say about the line, the STG line of modules before we wrap this up?
I think that's an excellent overview.
Yeah.
I think that's enough to get people interested in coming to our website. Oh, y'all, like pre-order this oscillator. We've got it up on our website now, StudentHighGuySoundLabs.com for $200.
Wow.
And this is a special price. That price only lasts from now until we get back to Peoria. So jump on it. Jump on it. Get on the front of something this freaking cool. This is your chance, and some fucking crazy dude is telling you, you gotta do it. Listen to the crazy man.
Hopefully you'll ride your bikes to Peoria, so they'll have a few days.
Oh yeah, they got plenty of time. Stu and I drove here.
Oh, okay.
We drove here, so like we take our time.
Yeah, you are crazy.
We enjoy ourselves. Utah's real pretty, y'all. I ain't never gonna see Utah like that from no freaking aeroplane.
No.
Ain't none of that.
Hey Bubba, I have to ask you one more thing before
absolutely.
we wrap up. What exactly is the post-lawsuit low-pass filter?
Oh, well, for legal reasons, we can't call it an ARP filter.
Ah.
But it's the ARP filter that they came up with after Moog paid an engineer to spend 3 days shipping at an epoxy-encoded ARP 2600 filter with an ice pick to determine that it was indeed a Moog filter with some goop on it.
Well, I'm speechless. R.I.P. Alan R. Perlman.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Pour one out for the big man.
So, listen, Bubba, thank you. It's been such a wonderful time. People are now going to be able to have 22 minutes of your hilarious pattern and very useful information about the Suit and Tie Guy modules. I want to thank you for this. And I look forward to seeing you next year at NAMM or at Super Booth or, you know, next time we go. Or, excuse me. Please. We're not done yet.
Yeah, we are so not done yet.
All right. Tell us.
Guys, listen, as synthesizer people, you all need to come to Knobcon, because Knobcon, the world's only synthesizer convention, is badass. It's great. And like, I'm not even gonna try and explain to you why it's great. What you should do is you should look up a video, Bubba AU Knobcon interview 2018. And that thing that is documented in that video is called Big Knob Energy.
I like the sound of that.
Big Knob Energy is what happens at Knobcon. This is the only way to describe it. Knobcon is about synthesizers technically, but it is actually a giant mass, a giant ritual to summon all of the big knob energy that exists in the universe at this given moment. At that given moment, in September of any year, September 6th through 8, 2019, we are going to summon all of the big knob energy in the universe, and it's all going to be concentrated on providing the coolest experience you can possibly have with synthesizers, drum machines, Hammond organs, video synthesizers. Everything that you care about as somebody who's watching this channel is going to be at Knobcon in its platonic ideal form, charged by the unmistakable fire that comes within when you have big knob energy.
Big knob energy. Well, Bubba, with that, there's nothing we can say to pass that. So all I can say then is, I will see you at Knobcon this September.
I will see you at Knobcon.
Right on, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Absolutely.